For 3,000 years, the Galactic Conclave had operated under a simple principle: ignore the primitive species until they proved themselves worthy of attention. Earth had been catalogued, filed away, and forgotten. Just another backwater world orbiting an unremarkable yellow star in the outer spiral arm. The Conclave's great libraries contained detailed records of over 10,000 civilizations. The Zethari, masters of quantum manipulation. The Vreks, who had transcended physical form centuries ago. The ancient Korthani, whose computational networks spanned entire star systems. These were the voices that mattered in galactic affairs. Humanity wasn't even granted observer status. Admiral Quiche of the Zethari Defense Corps had seen the reports, of course. Occasional scout ships noted the humans' slow technological progression: nuclear weapons, primitive spaceflight, crude artificial intelligence. Nothing impressive. The species showed promise perhaps, but thousands of worlds showed promise. Most never amounted to anything significant. The first sign that something had changed came during the siege of Proxima Station. The Devourers had returned after a millennium of silence, their biomechanical fleets consuming entire systems with ruthless efficiency. The Conclave's combined armadas had fought valiantly, but conventional warfare meant nothing to an enemy that converted destroyed ships into additional firepower. System after system fell, refugee fleets streaming toward the core worlds in desperate retreat. That's when the human fleet arrived at Proxima. Admiral Quiche studied the tactical display in disbelief. 47 human vessels, primitive by Conclave standards, hung motionless in space as 3,000 Devourer ships closed in for the kill. The human commander had rejected all evacuation offers, claiming his fleet would hold the line. Madness, Quiche muttered. They'll be consumed in minutes. The first wave of Devourer ships struck the human formation, and something impossible happened. The human vessels didn't fight back. They exploded. Every single ship detonated simultaneously, their nuclear cores overloading in a precisely choreographed sequence. The blast tore through the Devourer formation, but more importantly, it triggered something else. The quantum resonance of 47 simultaneous nuclear detonations created a standing wave that disrupted the Devourer's biomechanical integration protocols. For the first time in recorded history, destroyed Devourer ships didn't regenerate. They knew, Quiche whispered, watching the tactical aftermath. Somehow they knew exactly what would work. The second sign came 3 months later during the defense of the Korthani Nexus. The Devourers had adapted, their ships now shielded against quantum disruption. The Conclave's finest strategic minds had spent weeks developing new countermeasures, but nothing worked. The biomechanical fleet pressed forward, unstoppable. Then human Admiral Sarah Chen contacted the Nexus Defense Coordinator with a simple message. We need every ship in your fleet to emit a specific frequency pattern. Trust us. The Korthani were ancient, proud, their computational networks having solved countless cosmic mysteries, but they were desperate enough to listen. Following human instructions, every Conclave ship began broadcasting a harmonic sequence that seemed random to their sensors. The Devourers attacked, and suddenly began attacking each other. Impossible, breathed Nexus Commander Vorthka, watching his screens in amazement. Their command structure is collapsing. Admiral Chen's voice crackled across the communication channel. Biomechanical integration has a fundamental flaw. The command organisms can't distinguish between friend and foe when their neural pathways are flooded with contradictory harmonic data. We've been studying your records of their attack patterns for months. You've been studying our records? Vorthka's voice carried shock. Those are classified at the highest levels. Yeah, we know. We hacked your networks 3 years ago. Hope you don't mind, we were just trying to help. The third and final sign came at the Battle of the Core. The Devourers had adapted again, their ships now immune to harmonic disruption. A massive fleet, larger than anything seen in galactic history, bore down on the Conclave's capital worlds. Every defensive strategy had failed. Evacuation protocols were already underway. The human fleet that emerged from hyperspace was different this time. Only 7 ships, but each one was massive, easily 10 times larger than any vessel humanity had previously constructed. They moved with perfect coordination, taking position around the Devourer fleet in a complex geometric pattern. What are they doing? Admiral Quiche demanded, watching from the command ship. The answer came from Admiral Chen herself, her image appearing on every screen in the Conclave fleet. For 3,000 years you ignored us, called us primitive, filed us away as unworthy of attention. You know what you missed? The human ships began to glow, energy readings climbing beyond anything the Conclave had ever recorded. You missed that we've been watching, learning. While you developed technologies to transcend and evolve and compute, we developed something else. We learned to sacrifice. The 7 human vessels moved closer to the Devourer fleet. Their energy signatures indicated imminent core breach, but not nuclear. Something far more powerful. Each of these ships contains a compressed singularity. When they detonate, they'll create a cascade reaction that will drag this entire region of space into a temporary fold. The Devourers will be gone. And so will we. Admiral Chen, Quiche transmitted desperately. You don't have to do this. We can evacuate, regroup, find another way. Chen's smile was sad and fierce. There is no other way. This is what we are, Admiral. When the universe needs someone to make the impossible choice, to pay the ultimate price, to stand between civilization and darkness, you call humans. The 7 ships moved into final position. We weren't worthy of your attention when we were building and growing and learning, Chen continued. But we're worthy now. Because when Judgment Day comes, when someone has to decide what's worth saving and what price to pay to save it, that's when humanity matters. The human fleet detonated. Reality folded in on itself, creating a gravitational anomaly that consumed the Devourer fleet entirely before collapsing back into normal space. Where 3,000 enemy ships had threatened the galaxy, now there was only empty void, and in the Conclave archives, humanity's file was moved from unworthy of contact to ultimate arbitrators. The galaxy had learned that some species weren't meant to rule or transcend or compute. Some species were meant to judge. And when judgment was required, humans were the only ones willing to pay the cost of rendering it. The stars no longer ignored humanity. They feared it.